Hi, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've made a machine gun before and a shotgun before, but I thought I'd do something a little bit out of the ordinary. I'm going to make a rocket launcher. Now it's going to be similar to like an AT4, which is the big round rocket launchers with the ends on them, but because they're very intricate in design, I thought I'd just make up my own design. So it'll be a rocket launcher, it just won't be a real rocket launcher, for instance. Won't match any existing rocket launcher that's out there. You'll need some 4 to 4.5 inch pipe, about a metre of that. So that's 100 to 110 mil. Doesn't matter what size you want. Doesn't matter what size you get. Anything close enough to be roughly a metre long. You need one of them. You'll need some sleeves, and you get these in the plumbing section of your hardware store. You need a sleeve similar to this, which will slip over the edge of the pipe, PVC pipe, and a sleeve that's smaller for the other end. So this obviously is the blast end, so it's got a bigger cone, and that's the end where the rocket comes out, so it's smaller. You'll also need some PVC cement. It's about $5 for a small thing like that, and it's actually got a little brush inside it, so you brush it on and just stick it on. You'll need some timber. I've got an offcut here from another job, but I think this was for the machine gun actually, for the M4A1 assault rifle, but you can just buy, you don't need much of this, just a couple of strips, so buy a small amount, but this is like craft wood, particle board, and it's about half an inch to 3/4 of an inch thick, and something you can shape. And you also need some paint. I'm actually using green paint for mine, but you can use any colour you like, depends what colour you want for your rocket launcher. Alright, so I'll just do stage 1 and we'll be away. Okay, so what we need to do is, that's a metre long at the moment, we need to cut 4 inches of it, so you need to cut 100 mil off it, because that piece you're going to use somewhere else, just for a bit of shaping and a bit of character. So if you're not sure how to get a perfect cut around the tube, you can do 2 ways. You can wrap a piece of paper around it and hold it tight and then draw around the edge of the paper, and that'll give you a perfect straight line. Or you can just slide, if that's long enough, if you can get it on there, slide that to where you need to put it on for your mark, and then draw around it and cut it off. But with a bit of paper it's much easier. Okay, you've cut about 4 inches or 100 mil off the end of the tube, and put that aside, because you're going to need that later. You're going to use that for intricate pieces to stick on the outside. So you put that aside, and what we're going to use next is going to start working on the actual main shaft of the rocket launcher. Okay, what I thought I'd do first is, this is the firing sleeve. So what I've done is I've marked a line around half of it. So if you look at it this way, there's a mark there and a mark there. And you can do this by eye, you just look at it and go, yes, that's the middle, that's the middle. And then I've drawn a line around here, like so, and I've put a cut in an angle like that. Now when I cut that section out, that will just give it a bit extra shape. It doesn't actually do anything, it just looks better than a straight everyday sleeve. It makes it look like it was made out of a metal or something like that. Whatever you do, don't cut it all the way back to here, because then when you glue it to your pipe, it will look funny because it'll just be an exposed bit of pipe. I'm going to cut that out and then we'll get on to the next stage. And now we have something like that. So that'll be the bottom part of the actual sleeve, so your pipe will come in here. That's the front obviously, and that's the bottom, just to give it a bit of extra shape, make it look a little bit different. It doesn't have to be exactly like this, you can make whatever shape you want, but this is just a guide roughly to give you an idea of what it looks like. Now I'm cutting all this out with a hacksaw at the moment, so don't need any fancy tools at the moment. We're going to need a drill at some point, and maybe a grinder with a sanding disc on, but I'll get to that as we go. Okay, what I've done now is I've just come in about 2 or 3 inches from the end, and I've drawn 3 lines. One line is a centre line right through. It's really easy to do, just get a straight edge and put it on. A lot of this is done by eye, so don't stress too much about it being perfect. And I just guessed the space that I wanted these apart, and I drilled a small hole first in the corners where I wanted it, and now I've drilled a larger hole, which is about, I think it's just 3/4 of an inch hole. Sorry, 10 mil hole, which is nearly half an inch. But you can make half-inch slots or whatever. What I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to cut slots here. So these are at the front. So the actual rocket spout is at the front. These are I'm just calling them breather slots for the heat of the gun. They don't really do anything, they're just there for looks. All of it is going to be there for looks, but it's just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like. So once I've cut the slots, we'll go on to the next stage. Okay, now you've done that, it should look something like that. Okay, when you finish, make sure you use some sandpaper to take off any burrs and sort of fluffy bits of plastic on the inside and the out, just to make it neater, so when you paint it looks better. The best tool to cut these out with would be a Dremel. But I didn't use a Dremel, I used a grinder with a tile cutter on it, a diamond tip tile cutter, or slate cutter. Seems to work really well. Yeah, the reason I use that is because I don't have a Dremel. So that's how it's going to look. That's going to be the bottom at the front. Gives you an idea how we're going to look so far. So once you've cut the slots, you get your brush with PVC glue and you just put a small amount inside the sleeve. Mark the centre, this being the bottom, that's the bottom. I was slightly off, it slipped on me, but it's enough to worry about. And you just slide it over the top with the glue. As you can see, it's green. In this case, sometimes it's blue, sometimes you get red stuff. It's all the same stuff really. But when it's done, it's going to look like that, that being the base and the front. Okay, just like that. Okay, now I've glued the other end on. As long as you've got a vise, you can still work in the middle like so. It doesn't matter, otherwise you leave that to last because you don't actually do anything at that end. What we're going to do now though, now that we've got the basis of your rocket launcher, we're going to take the piece we made before and we're going to cut sections out of this. And the reason we're using this is because it already has the natural curve of the PVC that's already there, so you can cut any shape you want. I'm just going to cut some strips and glue them in various places over the top of the rocket launcher to give it some character. But you know, as I said, you can cut any shape you want. You cut zigzags, lightning bolts, whatever you like. It's entirely up to you. But as I said, you've got these sections. You can just cut a piece out, another piece out, another piece out, another piece out, and then just stick them on wherever you want to put them. Now I've cut up those pieces. I've just basically got a ruler and set it on the side of the pipe, and I just drew a line till it went around all the way around the outside. I ended up with 7 evenly spaced pieces and 1 smaller one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them around in certain spots on the barrel to give it a bit of depth. Don't know exactly the configuration of that yet. I'll work it out in about 3 minutes. But you can put it wherever you want. You can make it look exactly how you want. You can have these across the top to make it look like they're support grids, or you can have this on top and have a flip up scope on it or something like that for sights. Or you can mount a scope on it. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with this. But this is just the basis of what we're starting with now. So yeah, just there's a whole bunch of things you can do with this. But I'll just glue these on and we'll see where we are next. Now while your pieces are drying that you're gluing on, you can cut yourself 2 strips of this timber. I used a circular, like a grinding cutting wheel on one of these to cut through that. But basically you want to go about 1 inch wide and about 14 inches long. Whatever that is. 400mm by 30mm roughly. Alright, so once you've cut those pieces like that, you're going to need something like this, which is a sanding disc on the grinder. You can use that because you need to shape it. The whole idea is to shape this to a point and shape the inside so it'll match the curve of the PVC pipe, and then you glue it on. And then there'll be a button put on here as well, which is your launch button. Okay, now I've cut these 2 pieces out, and what I've done is I've actually rounded them over with that sanding disc, and I've cut a bit of a ledge in them. These are the side rails of your rocket launcher, and we're going to put some nicks and cuts and things in here to make them look a bit more cool. But one's like that, the other one's almost exactly the same, except for at one end we've got a flat section like that. And that flat section, when it's on the side, we're going to cut a small piece of dowel and glue it there, and that's going to be the launch button, which will paint red when we're finished. So it's just going to sit there with a bit of PVA glue, and then you just, obviously when it's finished, we paint it red, and that will be the actual button that launches the rocket. Now, once you've made those bits, you'll have, I've glued the dowel on there, it looks like a button. You can see that. basically I'll paint that red and the rest of it will be painted green. What you want to do now is you want to drill a hole here and a hole here and here and here, and you want to bolt it to the tube on the sides. Now you can put, I recommend countersinking the hole, and what that means is you drill a small hole enough for the bolt to go through, and then you drill a slightly bigger hole about a third of the way through for the head of the nut to go in, so it's sort of below the surface. It looks much neater. Put the nut on the inside of the tube, because no one's going to see the inside of the tube, and they'll sit against the side. Now you could possibly glue them if you wanted to, but I find this way to be a bit easier, and also it shows a bit of mechanics to it as well if you've got nuts and bolts in places here and there. At this stage, it's pretty much finished. If you want to put a scope on, you'd put it on here, which we're actually going to do next. I'm going to put a scope on. As you can see down the side here, there's the button. It's bolted on. You put it on the shoulder, press the button, and it shoots off. Paint the whole thing green, put some US Army stickers on it, and you're done. But what I'm going to do before we go any further is in the corners of all these plates, I'm just going to put a rivet. So I'll just drill some 4 little holes and get a rivet gun, just hand gun, and put rivets in it to make it look like that they're steel plates that have been bolted on. And then I'm going to make a scope, which will come through here. I'll show you how I do that in a second. There's an optional extra, of course, you don't have to have a scope, but I figured it'd make it look a bit cool if I had one. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do a scope. Went to a cheapy camping shop and found a torch. These are an LED torch, they've got like 5 LEDs in the front, and they cost me $2. They've even got a metal casing, aluminium casing. I bought 2 of them, and I took, the end cap comes off, so I took all the button assembly out and all the internals out so I could join it. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put a bolt between the 2 caps so it looks like that. If you can't get something like that, you can actually just get like a mag light, a cheaper version, not the actual mag light, but just buy a small torch, and you can use that to mount on here. And once you've joined your scope together, like so, what we need to do now is drill in that top plate that we put on earlier. What we need to do is drill 2 holes side by side, about 1/4 inch holes. Sit your scope on top like that and put some zip ties through, so you put up through the middle, down through the side, and lock it underneath. You can get your arms in here, so it's pretty easy, and that will lock in place on top there like that. Obviously it's not realistic, but it'll look pretty cool anyway. You can't, don't put it on until after you've painted though, and use black ties. That, she's ready to be painted, so got the rivets all on, handles are done, buttons on, everything's good. It's a matter of putting some green paint on there and making it a little bit more military. Alright, and as coming up you'll see the finished product. This is what it looks like, all painted and done.